Hi, welcome to a mini question dissection from Study Notes ABA. I'm Danielle, and we are going to go through this mini question dissection together. So here is how it is going to work before we get started on the questions. I'm going to give you about 10 seconds to pause the screen, let you read the question on your own. Then I'm going to swipe to the correct answer, and I will read you the question and the answer, why they're right, and why the other ones are incorrect. So we have 5 questions in this mini question dissection. So we're going to get started. Per the usual, please don't steal our shit. We work so hard on this for you guys. So please disseminate, but don't copy. We love you and we mean it. All right, here's your time to pause the screen so that you can read the question. All right, here is the correct answer. The correct answer is going to be graduated guidance. Let's read the question together. During a teaching session, Mrs. Taylor is helping a student learn to zip their jacket. At first, she fully supports the student's hands and guides them through the entire motion. As the student becomes more proficient, Mrs. Taylor gradually reduces her level of physical assistance, sometimes providing minimal support, sometimes none at all based on how independently the student performs each step. She does not follow a fixed fading schedule, but instead adjusts her physical prompts moment to moment, ensuring that the student is successful while gaining independence. Which of the following best describes the procedure Miss Taylor is using? So we know the correct answer is going to be graduated guidance. The reason it's graduated guidance is because this involves using physical prompts that are systematically faded based on the learner's performance in the moment. It's not time-based or structured by fixed fading plan. Instead, the instructor adjusts support flexibility to promote independence. So why are the other options incorrect? It is not shaping across topographies. That refers to reinforcing increasingly closer approximations of a completely different behavior form. Waving, teacher waving, then clapping, then snapping, not fading prompts. It is not response differentiation. This involves reinforcing specific responses over others to build a new behavior class, not a prompting or physical guidance strategy. It is not shaping within topographies. This is about reinforcing increasingly better versions of the same behavior form. Clearer pronunciation of the same word, but still does not involve physical prompting. Okay, here we go to our next question. All right, here we go. You can pause your screen. All right, our correct answer here is going to be negative reinforcement. So let's read the question together. Kayla, a behavior technician, is working on a school team to help support Mason, a 9-year-old student who frequently engages in loud whining and crying during independent work time. At first, the team uses planned ignoring, but that did not help the whining and crying. The transitioning to moving Mason to an alternative location where he was presented with his work. This, at first, did decrease Mason's behavior. Over time, Mason's whining came back, but he began to refuse to complete his work. The team decided that should Mason quietly ask for help, and the staff would immediately remove a portion of the worksheet and provide a brief guided break. Over the next week, Mason's whining decreased and his appropriate help seeking increased. Which of the following explains Mason's behavior? All right, so we know our correct answer is going to be negative reinforcement because Mason's behavior is increasing, specifically his appropriate help-seeking behavior, because it results in the removal of a portion of his work and access to a brief guided break. This suggests that something aversive, the full worksheet or the demand, is being removed following a specific behavior, asking for help, and that behavior is increasing in the future. This is definitely this is the definition of negative reinforcement. The removal of an aversive stimulus contingent on the behavior that increases the likelihood of the behavior occurring again. Why are the other ones incorrect? It is not positive punishment. This would involve adding something aversive to decrease the behavior, which is not occurring here. It is not a response cost. This would involve removing a reinforcer to decrease behavior, which does not apply. and it is not positive reinforcement, this would involve adding a stimulus to increase behavior, which is not happening in this case. All right, here we go to our next question. All right, here you go. You can pause. All right, our correct answer is going to be C, equal interval line graphs for toileting and manding, cumulative record for mastered targets. All right, let's read the question together. Mr. Peters, a BCBA working in an outpatient clinic, is supervising an RBT who has been collecting data on all 3 different skill acquisition programs for a client named Harper. Toileting independence is being tracked by recording the percentage of successful toileting attempts per session. Peer manding is being measured by frequency of spontaneous requests made during play. Total skill acquisition across programs is being monitored by graphing cumulative mastered targets over time. Mr. Peters wants to visually display the progress of each of these behaviors in a way that is both accurate and easily interpretable by the client's treatment team. Which of the following graph type should Mr. Peters use for each respective behavior? So our correct answer is going to be C, equal interval line graphs for toileting and manding, cumulative record for mastered targets. Mr. Peters should use an equal interval line graph for toileting independence and peer manding because both of these are behaviors tracked over time using a rate-based or percentage-based measure. Line graphs are ideal for showing trends, variability, and progress session to session. For total skill acquisition, a cumulative record is most appropriate as it visually displays the total number of targets mastered over time, allowing the team to observe consistent growth and acquisition trends. This combination ensures clarity, accuracy, and functional use of data for decision-making by the treatment team. So why are the other ones incorrect? Bar graph for all behaviors is incorrect because bar graphs do not effectively show trends or progress over time. Equal interval line graph for cumulative skills and bar graphs for manding and toileting is incorrect because line graphs are more appropriate than bar graphs for tracking behaviors over time. And cumulative record for all 3 behaviors is incorrect because cumulative records are not appropriate for behaviors like toileting or manding, where frequent variability and session to session change matters. All right, here we go to our next question. Go ahead and pause. Okay, our correct answer here is going to be observational learning. During morning circle in the preschool classroom, Kim observes a peer clapping their hands enthusiastically when the teacher begins playing a familiar welcome song. The teacher immediately responds by smiling and saying, "Great job clapping, Julian." The following day, Kim claps her hands as the same song begins. Kim has never clapped her hands to this song in the circle time before. Which of the following best describes the learning process that explains Kim's behavior? The correct answer is observational learning because Kim's behavior is best explained by observational learning as she has acquired a new behavior, clapping during the song, by watching another student receive reinforcement for that same behavior. Importantly, Kim was not directly taught, prompted, or reinforced. She simply observed the contingency between the peer's behavior and the consequence, then replicated the behavior under similar conditions. This type of learning does not require the observer to be directly reinforced, but instead involves vicarious learning through modeled consequences. So why are the other ones incorrect? Imitation is incorrect because this would require the behavior to occur immediately after observing the model, typically with some formal instruction or structured modeling, which does not occur here. It is not contingency-shaped behavior because this refers to behavior that is directly shaped through the individual's contact with reinforcement contingencies, which Kim did not experience herself. It is not shaping. Shaping involves reinforcing successive approximations towards a target behavior over time, which does not align with the immediate and untrained nature of Kim's response. All right, let's go to our next question. Maya, oh, sorry guys, you can pause it. All right, our correct answer here is going to be B. Maya is prioritizing Procedural fidelity over the client's individual values. Maya is a BCBA is providing services to Kareem, a 16-year-old client whose family recently integrated to United States. The family speaks primarily Arabic at home and practices religious and cultural customs unfamiliar to Maya. During assessment and treatment planning, Maya notices the family expresses preferences that differ from typical Western parenting practices, such as prioritizing group harmony over individual autonomy. Maya recognizes these differences, but Maya proceeds to design intervention goals and parent training strategies based on what has been effective with her previous clients. She continues to use English-only materials and chooses not to seek translation support, consultation, or resources tailored to the family's context. Maya's rationale, her approach by stating, ABA is a science and it's universal. It works the same for everyone if implemented correctly. Which of the following best identifies the primary ethical concern for Maya's approach? Okay, our correct answer is going to be B. Why is it B? Maya is demonstrating an ethical concern by failing to adapt her interventions and parent training approach to reflect the family's cultural values and communication needs. While her procedures may be technically correct and evidence-based, the BACB Ethics Code requires behavior analysts to engage in culturally responsive practices and to individualize interventions. By relying solely on strategies that have worked for clients from different cultural backgrounds and using English-only materials without seeking appropriate consultation or translation, Maya is prioritizing procedural consistency over cultural appropriate care. Her assumption that ABA works the same for everyone overlooks the importance of contextual fit, client preference, and meaningful collaboration with the family. So why are the other ones incorrect? Maya is inappropriately applying reinforcement strategies inconsistent with the BACB. This issue is not about technical accuracy of reinforcement procedures. Why is C incorrect? Maya is violating her responsibility to obtain informed consent by failing to explain procedures in the family's native language. While language is relevant, the scenario does not indicate failure in this consent process. D is incorrect because Maya is following the ethical guidelines by implementing interventions with demonstrated empirical support. Evidence-based practices must still be adapted to fit the cultural context and values of the client and family. All right, we have made it to the end of our mini question dissection. So you can always find us at STUDYNOTESABA.com. You can email us at contact@STUDYNOTESABA.com. Follow us on Instagram and TikTok at STUDYNOTESABA.com. And absolutely check us out on Behavior Bitches podcast. We totally appreciate you being here. We love you and we mean it. Have a fantastic day.